Hey everyone, welcome to the first Q&A. I apologize, it's been a bit of a delay. Things have been super busy lately, but I did want to get to answering some of these questions uh, because your comments are important to me. So, first, Not a Gamer in Disguise asked how I got my start in the games industry and what my advice is for someone who's trying to break in now. So, a bit of context here is that I've been working in the games industry for over 20 years. When I first graduated college, I wanted to get to work right away. And though I have been very interested in working in the games industry and thought this might be a story for another time, but I thought I was destined to work in the games industry. I wasn't sure if it was the industry for me. And I might be dating myself a little bit here, but working for a year or two at a time at a company was viewed as a very bad thing. So I wanted to answer a few questions first, right after I graduated college. I wanted to make sure that the games industry was for me. I wanted to learn as much as I could about the games industry, mainly because I wanted to see where I would want to grow, because I knew there were many facets to making a game, so I just didn't know exactly where I would fit in the best. So what I did was I applied as quality assurance QA. I landed my first job right after college, like I think 2 days after I graduated. I got my first job at Squaresoft, which we know now as Square Enix. Um, yeah, so they called it a product analyst at that time, and I've always wanted to see my name in credits, so especially a Final Fantasy game. So I jumped at the chance to work at Squaresoft at that time. Now, QA back then was seen as sort of a second class citizen, and in many respects it's still seen that way to this day. But I really wanted to come in with I think the quote is, with my mouth shut and my eyes and ears open. I just wanted to absorb as much as I could, and it was a contract role. So if I decided I didn't want to work in the games industry after all, it wasn't going to be a big deal, and I could work and pay off my student loans immediately. Now, hindsight being 2020, maybe I would have taken a little bit of a break and not worked immediately after college, but I think it was a great experience. I think in everything I do, I try to solve multiple problems at the same time as much as possible. So I came into the role knowing that I would absorb as much as I could about how a game comes together. So quality assurance is towards the end of game development. It's throughout the game development, first of all, but it's really loaded at the end of game development where you get to see how all the pieces come together. So if I were to get into art or animation, for example, I may never see what happens on the audio side. I may never see how production works with marketing and other aspects. But through QA, you can kind of pick up those aspects of game development if you're observant enough. If it's not just a paycheck to you, because QA doesn't pay a lot. So it was very much a learning experience for me. So I came in and I really wanted to see how the various different aspects of game development work together, because I've seen it and done it in my college program, but I didn't know what it was like in the real world. That being said, I worked at Square Enix for a year. I also worked at Electronic Arts to see what the US or the American side of things look like as far as quality assurance and publishing. And then I went back to Konami Digital Entertainment and really got into production from there. So, what would my biggest advice be if I were to try to break it now? I think maybe QA is a little bit different these days. But what I would say is the ideas and methodology is still very much the same. If I were to talk to my younger self, I think the strategy was a good strategy, because I know so much about how a game comes together that many others may not be aware of. So if you were to come in as a producer or an artist or someone on the audio team, I would still try to learn as much as I could about how games do come together, the various software used, how it's used, the current struggles from the various departments, the interactions between the various departments. Those are all very important. I like to imagine how a restaurant may work, like how a high quality dish comes together, all the different components needed, the timing, budgetary aspects, all that stuff is very important to how that particular dish comes together. It's very much the same with software development. So if you come in with that frame of mind of no matter where you are in your role in the games industry, think of it as an opportunity to learn about where there might be pain points, how things can be improved, where different departments interact with each other, how they resolve certain conflicts. I think those are all very important. Also, that frame of mind I was talking about, trying to solve multiple things at once, I do that to this day. For example, this channel in itself, let's just say on a personal level, I was really affected and my confidence, I realized, had dropped a lot. And I think I wanted to work on my public speaking a little bit more, which is why I started this YouTube channel. So if you watch some of my other videos, you can see how I might say ums and ahs and certain other things like filler words a lot. I'm trying to work through that right now. So that's kind of the reason why I'm doing these videos these days, is to make sure that I rebuild that skill. At the same time, I'm also very earnestly trying to build a consulting company that can help indie studios, individual contributors to small studios or large companies even, to make sure that they thrive and survive, since I've had such a extensive background in game development. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can solve multiple things at the same time. I think that's a great frame of mind to have. So whenever you're trying to solve a problem, try and see it from different angles and see if there are other ways you can answer the same kinds of questions and get value across different dimensions. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for your question. Moving on to question 2, I see, what would you say is the coolest thing you got to do in the industry? There are so many things that I would say were very cool, but much of it I can't actually talk about. The one that I'm particularly proud of and I can talk about publicly is probably the Genso Suikoden series. In my history, I was a Twitch streamer for Konami Digital Entertainment. For a short while, I was dubbed the Konami Man, which was a official Konami character way back in the day. But when we started this Twitch stream, I would call myself Konami Man, and we would play games from the archives of Konami history, just Contra, Bloody Roar, Metal Gear, Castlevania. But we landed on a particular series that got a lot of attention, actually, that it actually surprised me. It was called Genso Suikoden, an RPG that was, if you wanted to buy a disc version at the time, it was multiple hundreds of dollars to buy Suikoden 2, for example. And maybe I will go into more detail about how I was able to get that game on PlayStation Network. If I get a little bit more, if I get more subscriptions to this channel, then I will talk about that a little bit more. But that was probably the coolest thing I got to do in this industry, because we're still seeing the effects of that now. It's 2025, and Suikoden 1 and 2 just got remastered. We also had the Eiyuden Chronicle series. I say series, but the first game plus some DLC came out last year. So yeah, that was probably the coolest thing, because no one believed that we could get a remaster for Suikoden done, and also no one believed that I could convince Murayama-san to create a new series of games. And so I took that as a personal challenge, and it took many, many years, but we actually got that game to happen. There were a few of us that actually worked together to get that to happen. So that would probably be the coolest thing that I got to do in this industry that I can publicly talk about. There are so many other cool things. I have to double check to see if I can talk about them, but yeah, I would say for now, I'll say Genso Suikoden. So those are the questions that I had for now. Thank you so much. I will continue to release videos and try and create new content. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm an innovator in this space, and so I'm always open to feedback and new ideas and seeing if I can work with you in the future. So yeah, share this video. Let me know how I can best serve you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.